Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target, a morning of brief where we invest with fighter pilot precision every day. All right, we have a great show for you today. We're talking about the market has been on fire. We hit new highs yesterday in the Dow 30,000. So we're going to talk about 6 names that have absolutely been on fire. And then our question of the day is, what is FOMO, which stands for fear of missing out? And how do you buy into a market right here after it's run up so much? So some of the names we're going to talk about today are Nio in the EV space, the Chinese automaker, Tesla, Palantir, Blink, Coin, which is a Bitcoin play, and then iBuy, which is everything e-commerce. So a lot going on today. Thanks for stopping by and checking us out. If you're catching us on replay, please subscribe so you get notifications on a daily basis. And then if you want to join us live, please do so. Go to ototnow.com. It's only $25 a month right now to join us. And what you don't see is a chat window and a Q&A window off to the side for us to be able to communicate with each other. So with that, let's go ahead and get the show started. Welcome to this show on Wednesday, November 25th. Thanks again for joining me this morning. All right, make sure you have your chat window all set up with your call sign as well as your Q&A window as well. Standard disclaimer applies. This is a financial education briefing, so you have to do your own due diligence before you act upon anything you hear me say this morning. All right, mission objectives are going to be to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Specifically this morning, we're going to talk about what do you do when the market is bouncing off of all-time highs, which, remember, this can go on for a while. If you really look at the path of 2009 all the way up to pretty much December of 2018, darn near a straight line up. You know, each year contain like 50 days where we're breaking new highs. I'm not necessarily making the call that we're on the edge of doing that again, but I do think there's a lot of optimism in the air with the vaccines coming. We just heard, we'll see it in headlines, 6 million vaccines are going to be out by mid-December. I think that was Pfizer and BioNTech, their push there with Operation Warp Speed. So, I mean, there's a lot to be happy about. The election is kind of winding down, whether you won or you lost, at least it's in the rearview mirror, is the way I look at it. And people are preparing for the future. So no blue wave, no ballooning taxes, that sort of thing, at least. So a lot to be optimistic about, and there's also this pandemic that's going on too, as a negative out there to keep things in balance. So it's not just going to go straight up. There are going to be days they're going to reset, and they're going to probably reset pretty hard. So just be ready for those days. Our tactical objectives, we're going to look at specifically 6 names that are down here below. I mentioned in the open, Nio, Tesla, Blink are all EV plays. Palantir is a software play that is on fire. I said coin in the open. I switched to ARKW. It's a little bit better of a pure, it's called the Riot blockchain ETF. It's more of a pure Bitcoin play. And that's on fire as well. And then, of course, everything e-commerce. We're stuck at home. So everything from Amazon to all of the players that go into the e-commerce space, we'll take a look at that as well. For the question today, what is fear of missing out? Because a lot of money coming in off the sidelines. So if you look at the Robinhood gang, which is measurable, I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but I hear it in the news quite a bit of how much of the traditionally younger investor, traditionally going to follow the whip of the market. So wait for the market to go up and then start buying, and that's what keeps markets going higher, is people coming off the sidelines. Obviously, those of us that are already all in all have to have new money coming in to be able to push those prices higher. So it's the folks that aren't all in that come in and actually can move the needle. So we'll talk about that. As far as the flow, we'll do market review, headline review. We'll talk about those 6 names and those themes, really, and then we will get into our day trading execution. We do have things in play today. However, the market's pretty flat here at the open, so I really think we're kind of set up for a red day, to be honest, just because the market's gone up and hit new highs. But I have seen when you hit new highs, people just sitting there and buy. So we'll see. We also have that holiday weekend thing where most of your pros are winding things down around noon today to take a big long weekend. And then even though we're closed tomorrow, so happy Thanksgiving, if I forget to say it later, but Friday is generally a nothing day. So we'll be here. We'll open up. We'll have the room. We'll see if we can find a trade, and we'll talk about what's going on. But as far as the sheer volume, it's generally almost a non-trading day, if you will. So we'll see. I think the market could go either way today. If I had to bet, if you had to put me on something, I would say red. Right? I think it'll sell off. There'll be some profit taking. All right, we'll get into our short-term execution, and then we will get into question of the day after that. If you have any contingency issues, just reach out to me at steve@ototnow.com, and we'll get those resolved for you. All right, let's take a look at TD Ameritrade Think Pipes on where we've been. For the new folks in the room, we start off with looking at the big picture. Once I can get this to switch off of this screen. There we go. This is the S&P 500. This is a 1-year chart looking left to right of, again, the S&P 500. So we had the big dip in March, kind of a straight line up as we recovered from that dip. Some volatility going into the election. And then, of course, where we are right now with that nice green bar from yesterday where everything was basically up. Touching off new highs in the in the Dow, pretty close to in the SPY. We shall see. But that's really where we are. When you zoom in on the last 5 days, get rid of Palantir that we looked at yesterday and go to the SPY. That's not the SPY. SPY, enter. There's our 5-day look at the SPY. So almost, really huge move up there. So that's why I think we might not be able to sustain that. You can't just continue up in a straight line. So, all right, there's our trades we'll be looking at later today. We'll come back to that screen. All right, as far as what we have going on for the CNBC for the particular, here we go. As far as the futures, get that refresh for you. So the Dow and S&P down a little bit, NASDAQ up again, tech heavy NASDAQ there. As far as in Europe, pretty much red across the board. Asia mixed. China's down a little bit big there, over 1%. Here's our numbers from yesterday. Nice big positive move up. Pretty low volatility, even though it increased a little bit there towards the end. Overall, looking pretty good. Bond market pretty stable, getting that closer to that 1% on the 10-year. That would be nice. A lot of confidence in this market and Janet Yellen's appointment as the next Treasury Secretary. So that's carrying us higher too. Oil above 45. It's been a while since you've seen that, right? So again, more into that healthy range. Folks are starting to say that Biden is good for oil. I need to hear that exact explanation. I don't understand that. Obviously, the clean energy, electric vehicle plays, all of that makes sense. But oil has rallied, but I don't think it's Biden. I think it's this vaccine optimism. But we shall see. Maybe we're going to get out and drive around a little bit more. All right, precious metals are up both slightly there, and then on into Bitcoin, 19,200. So keeps seemingly going up every day. All right, let's take a look at the headlines. Yeah, Thanksgiving could be an accelerator event with COVID. I believe that 100%. Everybody's limited. I think we're at 10 here in Texas. I think it's 5 in New Mexico for family gatherings. So pretty stringent. There will be some people that will push those numbers. So we'll see what comes out of it as far as COVID cases. Another record low mortgage rate. How low can it go? If you're paying over 3% on your mortgage, just go ahead and refi down below 3. Um, it's a pain, but just go ahead and do it. It's interesting on when you talk about Tesla, which is one of the names we'll talk about today, and they're, $500 billion market cap. With the other day when they moved up 7% by in terms of market cap, they basically added Ford Motor Company on that day. So that's how ridiculous when you look at the valuation of a Tesla is. You're thinking to value it where it is, they would have to cure cancer, COVID, flying cars, underground tunnels. I mean, they'd have to solve so many problems to justify all that, which they're not doing. They're actually just making cars. So anyhow, I'll get off my Tesla soapbox, but don't try to make sense of any of the EV names. I like Blink and Plug the best because they're battery makers. And of course, you're going to need batteries. Kind of like I don't like gun makers, but ammo is where the money is. So we'll see. Nikola was on Mad Money last night with Jim Cramer. The new CEO was talking about the old CEO is out. And you knew that Trevor Milton, I think is his name. He has the option to sell his shares, I think, on December 1st. And he owns a huge portion of the company. So there's a lot of people think he's going to actually dump those shares. And that's why Nikola's down, I think, 14% right now. And it's our number one short. Even though that's out of my 5 to 10 window, I don't see there's any reason to hold on to this name. Haven't seen the national security vision that differs sharply from Trump. So be curious. I need to read more about that. All right, that's it for headlines that we're going to talk about. All right, names that have been on fire. The number one name that it's kind of a funny story because people ask me. I know I'm not under any illusion that people don't have side accounts and that they're, even if they have most of their network with me, they're slinging money around on the side account. I did have one individual that happened to way back here when it was around $2. Take a recommendation to add some Nio. I bought Nio from basically $2 to $10. That was kind of my buying range. Once it hit 10, I stopped buying. So take us to this chart right here of 10, and then I sold out of most of it. I still have some in the book. Took a double over the course of 3 months and said, okay, that can't continue. And I was wrong. Here it is up here at 50. But the individual who said, I was in my side account, I put 5,000 in there, and then I forgot to look at that account again. That's over 100,000 now. So that's how you get a 2,000% gain. So it is tough to leave an entire position on like that unless you don't look at it ever. But huge gain in Nio. I think that's completely unsustainable. They are down over 10% today. So these things are kind of falling back to the earth today. So that's why it'll be good for the Nikola short. In terms of anything else that's on fire, let's look at Tesla real quick. Often a new high. So the real move was in here during the split time frame, and then they expected to be added to the S&P 500. Did not happen. So it came crashing down to earth, had another quarterly earnings, and now it is being added to the S&P 500, and it is back on fire. Okay, let's take a look at the other names I have for you on the bigger screen. So going over to Schwab, we'll put Nio here in the upper left. So there's Nio's chart. We talked about Tesla. PLTR is Palantir, software data analytics type play. They took credit for helping the U.S. government find and kill bin Laden. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but certainly they're involved with it. And again, I like this name a lot. I said on IPO day I would buy it anywhere from 10 to 20. We got almost all of our shares at 10. I added around 11. It went down to 9. And then it was kind of just hold your breath. Like, why is this thing going the wrong direction? Well, that was because with a direct listing, everybody could sell instead of having a big lockup period. So here we are at basically 140% gain a few months later. So another name that's been on fire. I would not buy this above 20, but if it dips below 20, it's already a buy again. Blink, don't buy it right now. It's parabolic. Just wait for it to come in. ARKW, again, is your Bitcoin play. This is called Riot Blockchain. I think they won the trophy for the coolest ETF name of the year. You win, Riot Blockchain. Okay, I don't really know I know what those words mean, but anyhow, it's a Bitcoin play. It's up from 40 up to 120, so that's 300% in the past few months. And then good old iBuy, which again, if you don't like Amazon or don't want to pay $3,200 for a stock, just going with the ETF of everything e-commerce is a good, solid way to play it. All right, as far as our short names we're looking at today, let's see, we got Nio up here, 53 down to 54. That's almost 10% down. We aren't going to take Nio short, though. It's just too strong. But we'll talk about our long name first, HPQ, which is HP. They beat earnings and they increased their dividend. So that's pretty huge right now to increase your dividend. Plenty of volume from 22 up to 29.4. So kind of that 5% heart of the envelope. So HPQ is our number one long. And again, I'm not so excited for taking longs, but if the market does start raging into the green at the open, we need to be ready with a long. Okay, as far as our shorts, we'll take a look at GPS, which is Gap Stores. Excuse me, at the Gap, it's the Gap, which is Gap Stores. They had guidance, and you can see it down here. Their comparable sales are up 5% when everybody else's is up like 50%. That's why it's selling off kind of hard. Plenty of volume from 26 down to 24. You look at the chart, it's got plenty of room to fall. So GPS is our top short. And then we have Nikola, has already made the move down. Plenty of volume from 34 down to 29. I think this thing could end up in the mid 20s today. So we'll follow that closely as well. And then the last one we have to wait on is Canada Goose Holdings. Just doesn't have the volume yet. It's 50,000, but it's selling off based off of a double downgrade. So it went from a buy to a sell, which you hardly ever see that. So that's what we have. So we'll take you over to our day trading screens and get set up. So SPY, Nick, or HP, and then we're going to put GPS short and then Nikola short. We will not have Canada Goose pulled up. All right, give me a second to get my screen set up. All right, welcome to the On Time On Target play of the day. We have 4 screens in front of you, and we were 15 seconds from the open. We have the SPY on the left-hand side, so we can monitor the move of the overall market. We have our one long, which is HPQ, going long here, and then our 2 shorts. This HPQ off a raised dividend. Then our 2 shorts are going to be the Gap, which is here, falling like a rock, and then also we have Nikola off on the right. Already down 17%, so we'll take a look at that. Gap is down 15% already too, so that's kind of out of our standard window, and there it goes as well. Well, I can't get my mouse back. There we go. All right, so zooming in on both of our shorts and seeing if we can hop in here. It's going to be a little bit difficult to do so. I still like Nikola short. I would like to see it back up above 29 so we could take it. If it gets above 29, we're going to take it short with a 60-cent stop. It looks like it's going to get there, actually. Okay, get ready. Again, this will be Nikola short at 29 if we can get it to get up to 29. Again, I'm not going to cheat, not going to go down and wait for it, and we may not get it. That might have been as close as it was. I'm putting a little mark there so I can look away at something else. I'm going to get rid of the gap because it's already gone too far, in my opinion. Again, waiting for Nikola to come up to 29 so we can short it. So have your tickers set up for that. And then Goose should have the volume now. Boy, I'm tempted. I'm tempted to take it here. Again, Nikola short. Really want to see 29 before I take that. Yeah, I'm hanging out for 10 cents. You're right. There it is. All right, take Nikola short here at 29 or as close as you can get to it. Again, we're going short. Your stop is at 29.60. So that's above the high of the day. 29.60 up here, so it's a 60-cent stop. And we're holding out for the first target's going to be 28.40 all the way down here at the bottom. That will be our 1R move, and then every 60 cents down from there. So again, ended up down towards let's see, 180. So it'll be 27.20 will be our exit if you want to set your stops. So the upper stop 29.60, and then the lower stop will be 27.20. So once it starts to fall, we'll be able to go ahead and draw that line on there. All right. And again, if it flips through the high of the day, then it does, and we are out. Yesterday's trade, I didn't conclude that. Yesterday's trade never hit either stop. It basically stayed in like a 2-cent range all day long. So not really much movement out of yesterday's trade. So basically killed it for even. All right. Canada Goose, plenty of volume now. I'm not taking it here. Really, the entry point's up here around 35.5 or so. So kind of missed that. That's okay. Not sure it has the power to move down. The Nicola really has the power to move down. I don't think there are going to be buyers here, so I'm not worried at all about this. But you never know. You have to admit, though, that if it does flip above the high of basically the high of this morning, then you need to be out. So let it flop around, but have it set to exit if you need to. And I'm kind of staring at it now since I'm close to it. Have my left hand over on my cell, and it shouldn't go much above 29.50. If it does, it's going to bust. Yeah, and there it is, 29.60. We're back out of the trade, so buy it back. All right. See what price I got there. So I am out of the trade. This is almost a beautiful setup short. I'm not going to turn around and take this trade again, but whenever this green stops, that would be an interesting entry point to take it short again. So I'll leave it up there so we can learn from what's happening with it. Let's see. HPQ did work here. Realistic entry would be really 22.95 or so with about a 20-cent stop. So that would be up at about a 1R point with room to go higher. Overall, the market's in the red. So that would be working against that HPQ. I wouldn't be excited about that trade. Canada Goose. Yep, I wouldn't get into it here. This is really an interesting move. This is short covering. So I'm pretty sure this is going to come up here. And then basically it'll do a hammerhead at some point. So there will be folks getting ready to take it back to the downside. I'm just going to draw it on the chart. I'm not taking it, but if it hits 30.10 to the downside, I'm going to draw it on here because this is kind of like the perfect entry to take a late entry or a second entry, which I don't do. Once it cracks 30.10, then you'll take it with a 40-cent stop. And if it doesn't, then it's just too strong. And then we basically move up the green arrow and then follow it back down again. So now 30.20 would be the entry. Again, nobody's buying this. So these are shorts getting blown out of their positions, right? Just like you and I left here at 30 or 29.6. That's why you don't hang in these things. If you hit your 1R point, you got to get out because there's other people that are going to hang out a little bit more than you. And you're like, wow. And then it just keeps going against you. So 30.20 back to the south again. I'm not going to take it, but that's what we'll be looking for. If it hits that point, then you hit in with a 50-cent stop again, and it's going to hit it. So there, take it at 30.20, and you put your stop in at 30.70, and you take the trade again with the 50-cent stop. Now your first R is down at 29.7, and then 29.2. and then 28.7. So you can see how by it running all the way up and basically hitting, you know, getting a much better entry than we did here at the beginning when we took it fairly aggressively, that you can get all these short sellers that are back out flat and now they short back in. So anyhow, that's how you take a secondary trade. Obviously not guaranteed to work, but I certainly do like that entry. All right, once I get the arrow drawn here, then we will move on to looking at the long-term investing stuff and see what's in play today, but we'll leave that up there. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on in the world. All right, we have a psychedelic name up 11%. LCA, I looked this up. So again, this is Tillman Fertitta, if I pronounce his name right, the owner of the Houston Rockets. It's his special purpose acquisition firm. Going to be Golden Nugget Online Gaming. It has spiked recently. They said late November. Well, we're in late November. That's when the ticker is going to change to GNOG. I think I will, for those that are still in this, I've sold a bunch of it off already. Those that are still in it, I'll probably get rid of it. Instead of like DraftKings, which I held from 15 all the way up to 60. Don't have the same confidence in the Golden Nugget Online Gaming name. So probably just capture the SPAC. If you do want another SPAC play, one thing I'm starting to buy is Bill Ackman's special purpose acquisition company is called Pershing Square Tontine Holdings, PSTH. So you may see a small position, 10, 20K showing up in that stock. All right, what else is up here? There's DraftKings while we're talking about it. Sony, obviously PlayStation 5 is out. AMD has been a good value buy lately. There's Shopify, Take-Two Interactive, so EA, some Activision. There's all of your video game stocks traveling together. Let's see what we have in the red world. Obviously, you've got a marijuana/psychedelic name there. You've got Nikola's down 10%, so I'd imagine we busted out of our trade because we got it. We were entered the secondary trade. Obviously, we busted out of the first one, but we'll check on that here back in a second. Workhorse selling off, Nio selling off. That's Hillian was the old shell. Coal selling off, Delta Airlines. So kind of the stay-at-home names are all kind of selling off. Not really selling off; they're just profit taking because they have moved up so much. All right, but a lot of names kind of going either way. We'll see as far as the overall markets. We have the Dow up. Or the Dow is down 0.4, the Nasdaq's up 0.25, and the S&P is 0.2. So kind of a trending down sort of day. Palantir up another 7%. Good for it. All right. So this would not have held this secondary entry. So again, one of these is going to be that entry where you get in and it just goes striping down from there. But I'm tired of looking at it, so we'll take it off the screen and go over closing with our question of the day. Let's get out of there, get out of my trade screen, down an R on the day, no big deal. Okay, here you are back to the main screen here, and bring myself back up for closing on the question of the day. So, you know, what is FOMO? You'll hear that in the mainstream media. That's fear of missing out. So that can lead somebody who's sat there and stared at, say, Tesla stock and thought it was overvalued a long time ago, and it keeps going up, up, and up, and finally they're like, well, I can't let it continue to just go up, so I'm going to buy it here. Generally, you don't want to do that. Be patient, wait for it to come in. If it never comes in, you just have to be a mature adult and go, oh, crap, I missed it. Have to look for something else. If you fall in love with the stock, that's where you can get burned, right? It is a stock. It is a thing. It's like a tool. Most people don't fall in love with the tools in their garage. They just use them when they're needed. Now, you may have your favorite, and I got that. But yeah, it's a mechanism to build wealth. So. But fear of missing out may push bull markets to new records. So that's kind of like I talked about earlier, is if you have folks like me that generally have most of the money already invested, not just personally, but in the book as well, I have a plan for it, and it's part of a bigger strategy. So it's allocated, if you will. It's new money that's coming in that folks are putting in, that is what takes markets to new highs. Or it's somebody who's sitting at home with 150K in the bank who opened a $5,000 Robinhood account, who's now looking at 6,500 and says, oh, I can use the same skill set that it took for me to build my account from 5,000 to 6,500. I can do that with now $100,000, and I will clearly be able to do that. Well, I will say that mathematically correct, yet you're absolutely right mathematically. The problem is emotionally. When the numbers get bigger, people start getting affected. If you don't deal with big numbers all day long, then you might not act your best when you start seeing things work against you, and it might get you, into using emotions instead of math. So that's the gotcha. So that's not necessarily true, but as that money flows in, you can tend to have that continue with the fear of missing out. And then the problem with that is if it continues on too long, which I wouldn't say we're near a bubble here at all, but if it does continue on too much, you get into a bubble situation where the only move is going to be down, and it's going to be down hard. And all those people who bought in at the end are the ones holding the bag when it comes down. So that's where, if you're watching CNBC, most of the pros that are on there now are saying, things like be patient, or just wait for a better entry. Right now, everybody's like, yep, the vaccines are going to come out. Well, let the vaccine come out and then realize that you can't get it. That certain people will get it. It'll be the high risk. There will be a release, and it might be a little bit of a debacle as far as the release of the vaccine, and it may not work, right? So there's all kinds of things. There may be side effects that are not good. I've heard that it's a 2-shot. I don't know which one it is, but I have somebody who was explaining it's a really kind of a 2-shot vaccine. The first one just gets you going, and the second one puts you down for about a day. So kind of like when they came out with the live flu strain, yeah, you needed to kind of take a minute after you had that, right, to be able to process it. So we'll see how all that works out. But right now, everybody's optimistic. It's the holiday season. Life is good, sort of thing. So that's why the market's continuing higher. So if anything, it'd be nice to see a red day, just to kind of tame those expectations. All right. So that's what I've got for you today. Hopefully, during the Thanksgiving holiday, you're getting out to see family, or you're bringing them up on Zoom to join you for dinner, or, all the things we've done creatively now to kind of try to be together when we can't be there in person. So hopefully you're able to do some of that, and wish you all the best for tomorrow. And we will see you back Friday morning. Talk to you soon.